They set out from San Salvador, running northwest, and on Sunday the 27th, which was the day of the Festival of Resurrection, which is commonly called of Flowers, they saw an island. Now, I've been flying for 40 years. I've flown the Caribbean over 100 times. I owned a house down there for 15 years, that's why. I believe that this, from Spanish to English, is talking about San Salvador and the Bahamas, and the island, I think, as far as I am concerned, they probably cited was Abaco. Monday the 28th, they ran 15 leagues in the same direction, and Wednesday they proceeded in the same way, and after, with bad weather, until the 2nd of April, running in the northwest, water lessening to 9 fathoms, at 1 degree length of coast, seeking harbor, 30 degrees and 8 minutes. 30 degrees and 8 minutes. Does anybody know where 30 degrees and 8 minutes is? Just south of Michaeler's Landing. So sometime around the first week in April of 1513, La Florida was not only discovered by Ponce de Leòn, he named it. That is 2 years from now, the 500th anniversary of that finding. For the life of me, it was here, right here in your community. Is there any of these groups at all? Are you organized at all to have any kind of commemoration of the 500th? Would someone raise their right hand and tell me? Is there anything going on here? Okay, that's why I'm here. Locating the landing place somewhere between a stretch of coast between 18 miles north of St. Augustine Inlet and 6 miles south of the mouth of the St. Johns River. Now, for lack of any place else, Michaeler's Landing is a pretty good place to commemorate something like that.
Ponce de Leòn has been derided for his navigation for a long time, but remember, he was a commander of troops. He was a general. He was the adelantado of Florida, lord of the land. Just like Pedro Menendez was the adelantado of Florida. Pedro Menendez formed the city of St. Augustine and stayed there. Ponce de Leòn was an explorer, the first one, but he came with pilots. His chief pilot, named Anton de Alaminos, came over on the 4th voyage with Columbus. Ponce came over on the 2nd voyage with Columbus. 4 voyages to the New World. The New World, that's what they called it then. They were real excited about going off to this new planet. Basically, to them, we would think of it today as a new planet, a new world. But they took the best pilots they had and they brought them along. Anton de Alaminos is the pilot with Ponce right here on this coast. And if you think he didn't know where he was, he went back at the end of that expedition here on this coast. They ended up down around about Sanibel Island. Anton de Alaminos came out with 4 more expeditions from Cuba to the Yucatan, going to Mexico eventually. And each time they were doing this, he found his way back to the precisely same spot each time over in the Sanibel Island area to get water. They needed water on their ships. They couldn't stay out very long. So they kept returning to the same places. Anton de Alaminos, the chief pilot, he's not in the history books so much because Ponce de Leòn gets there. The chief, the boss of the captain of the ships, they get named. But Anton de Alaminos is the guy that discovers the Gulf Stream. From then on, with sailing ships, everything coming out of the Caribbean follow Anton de Alaminos' route back to Europe by the Gulf Stream, the high-speed highway to them. They gained a bunch of knots. They also pushed them in the same direction. Even if they put their sails down, they could get back to Europe, basically. So these men that were here, Dan's seen it, sailing men see it. They know where these things are, where you can get through the ocean out here. And you don't come through the ocean through the Bahamas in a sailing ship without the modern navigation that we have and without the charts that these men were building at the time. They're building the charts then, so you avoid those shallows. They came on the outside, it's what the history books say. They came on the outside of the Bahamas, came right up here. Everybody else is talking about coming into Florida, different places, down the coast. You can't get there unless you go through the Bahamas. And if you go through the Bahamas, you go through the coral beds, leave your hull behind. So it's not such an easy thing. There's the whole point. The reason I'm here dressed in the period is because we do this in St. Augustine. We've turned out for many years representing the different moments in time. And there are people talking about doing commemorations. The 500th is coming for Ponce de Leòn. The 450th is coming up for St. Augustine itself.